Hey there. Before you dive into this episode, I just wanted to let you know about a workshop that's coming up on the 17th of September with the awesome Elaine Walsh-McGrath called How to Promote Your Business with Podcasts and LinkedIn. We'll cover the benefits that podcasting has for your business and the top 3 things to think about to get clear on your podcast idea. And we'll workshop the idea of your podcast. Elaine will share 3 tips on how you can use LinkedIn to promote your podcast. If you want to start a podcast but have been putting it off, here's a chance to work through your idea and get tips to promote it on LinkedIn. All aimed at increasing your visibility and building your like, no trust with your ideal clients. Join us on the 17th of September at 12 noon. The investment is £45 and, dear listener, you will get 10% off if you use the code Rachel, which is RACHAEL, at the checkout. The link to register will be in the show notes. Now, on to the episode. Hi, and welcome to Podcasting 101 with Rachel. This podcast is for busy female entrepreneurs who run their own businesses and want to start a podcast or who may already have a podcast. I want to share practical information and tips on how you can get your podcast started and managing it along the way. I'll also be interviewing other female podcast hosts to give you real insight into what it's like having your own podcast. Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode. We're going to be talking about branding today and how showing your face makes a difference. My guest today is Aga Mortlock, who is a brand photographer, passionate about photography and creating authentic standout images that are crucial for your brand experience. Welcome, Aga.
Hello. Fantastic to be here today.
Yes, thank you for coming on and talking all about photography and branding. To start with, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and where your passion for photography started?
Yes, absolutely. It started long time ago. Everybody's got a story, but my story started at 16. That was my first photography course I joined. And then, the life took different angles. I studied politics as sociology because you're supposed to have a job, right? Proper job. But somehow I went back to my beloved photography, and at the age of 20-something, I decided, you know what, this is it. That's what I want to do. I'm going to have a go. And I did. And the rest is history. So it's been over 20 years right now when I've been professionally doing photography. And recently, a few years ago, I completely turned my photography into brand photography because I used to do fashion, commercial. I did sort of things. I worked for portrait photography. I run my own portrait photography and makeover studio. So I went around the block quite a lot when it comes to photography fields. But it feels like brand photography. It's that kind of type of photography which really fulfills me with joy. First of all, I really love working with people. And also, I really love working with people who feel passionate about what they do. And, when you're rubbing off each other, that energy. So that's just fantastic. And I'm sticking to it because that exactly what I think I've been meant to do. So I'm sticking with it. So if you need wedding or christening photographer, please do not ask me because I don't like to say no. And I will say no.
So your focus now is helping business owners create their brand. And I have seen some of your photos. Aga and I met through the Women in Business Network, yes. And you did Susie Sprigg, who's one of the leaders of. It's the Roddick 9 national group, and then obviously there's some in-person groups for her as well. Yeah. And I thought they were fantastic. I really loved those photos when she shared them. So part of why we wanted to have this conversation is using Susie as an example there. Having known Susie and met her and her personality and her business, those photos really captured her and that authenticity that we all want to see because we are people selling to people. We want to be having that human connection, and those photos are such an important thing to have for your business. And then obviously I know we're here talking about podcasts, but your podcast will be for your business, so they are a complete package, and the podcast is an extension of your business. So why is it important to create a brand for our business? What part do our faces play in our brand?
I think, first of all, it's all about visibility and also the know, like, trust factor. Okay. So imagine people when appearing on a telly. Automatically, you think like you know them. Okay. It just feels that kind of familiar feeling to it. And actually, it's funny enough because I did post on my social media today about connection. You build the connection not only by showing face to face and, going with people for coffee, meeting them on Zoom, but also you need to create that brand which is visible, and people respond more if they can see the face behind the brand. Otherwise, it's just another one big brand, which is kind of anonymous, and people can't really connect with it. If they see that person and they know inside and out of why you're doing things, why you're passionate about certain things, who are you? And as we know, we're not for everybody. We're not for, sometimes we need to kind of speak to our audience, and showing yourself authentically. It's really, really crucial, because by doing this, we're connecting to those people we really want to connect. So, like, for example, Susie's very she's all about women, right? She gathers them. She's got this fantastic energy. She's bubbly. She's high-spirited. So those images have to showcase how she is, how she includes in everything, how she creates space for everybody, to feel comfortable and familiar with, So when I create pictures for brands, it's always bespoke. It's not like we're going to do the coffee mug shot and the laptop thing, your box standard things. Everybody's different. So for me, it's really important to get into the nitty gritty of your brand and your personality. Otherwise, I won't be able to show who you really are. And I think for me, that's the difference between having some stiff, generic headshots to actually having beautiful brand photography, which shows your personality, and people see, okay, I feel like I know her. I need to know a little bit more. Okay, so I think it's really important that all those images are going to be authentic to you. So it's really important for a photographer to understand where you're coming from, what's your whys, why you're doing what you're doing, why you feel passionate. And with brand photography, it's not only about beautiful pictures of you, but it's also about setting images for those topics you want to kind of showcase in your business. So tools of your business, behind the scenes and all those different things who makes you makes your business. Because people are nosy, right? They want to see what's happening behind the scene. They want to see what's your little ritual you're doing in the morning. They want to see, and I'm not saying showing color off your toothbrush, but just having all those different things, which makes you. And then when they're familiar with you, they think, I really like that person. She could be my friend, I want to get in touch with her, and that's how they book your services, or, they're kind of getting that gist of you, of your energy. So I know it's a little bit woo-woo, but that's how I work. I really want to get into the nitty-gritty of you and showcase the exact essence of you. But you on your very good day, okay?
On the best day. I love that. And I think I totally agree with that. And what you said about like, know and trust, that is, for me, podcasting is another way for you to do that.
It's all about visibility, isn't it?
Yeah. And I feel that the branding, especially having your photographs done, like you talked about, capturing the essence of you, those photographs will really help bring everything together with your podcast as well. So this is an audio only podcast. You're just listening to our voices, and you're getting to know what we're both like and what we're about. But having the images as well can help solidify that whole brand experience and the whole experience of them getting to know you through your podcast, through your social media, through your website, whatever medium it is that they come across you.
Absolutely. And I think with the podcast, again, this is another, we're not two-dimensional people. Yeah, we're very much 3D, even 4D, right? So yeah, it's very important to have those beautiful images. We feel confident to show, okay? Because how many times we've got those pictures and we're really not happy, but we've got no other choice, and we're putting them out there and putting them with like, oh, that will do. Will do is not good enough for you, okay, love? So I think we have to, whatever we do in online presence and online space, we have to be proud of what we're putting out there. If it's mediocre and we're not happy about this, it's a very good chance that people gonna get that perception of us as well. So your impression is all about showcasing your face, showcasing your voice. I always say to people, do your live videos, go out there, show people how your body language, everything comes together. So when we talked about the visibility, voice is very important as well, because people kind of, when they're going to see eventually face to face, it's really important that because our perception of other human beings on so many different levels, so voice, sound, visuals, movements, body language, everything comes together. So if you're giving people more those touch points, they can create that vision of you without meeting us face to face, more than better, right? So I think the podcast and also the topics you're interested about and passionate, do you think, Rachel, they can actually feel passion in people's voices? The people light up, the voices light up, the faces light up when they talking about what they passionate about, and that's very, very often happens when you run your own business, right? So it's really important that if you feel passionate about something, you look passionate about something, you just go there with confidence and amazing energy, people are gonna completely buy into it.
Yeah, you absolutely can tell when people are passionate about it. I mean, I can tell your passion shining through of wanting to help people. Yeah, to help people, get the best out of them, to help them with their business, with whatever their passion is for their business. And when I first had my brand photos done, there were a couple of years ago now. Before then, I was kind of using stock images and things like that on my website, as you do when you first start and things. I know. But I really loved it when I had my first pictures done, because there's a select few that I really love. Like there's one that's for my podcast art and that I use for my profile picture, and I really feel like that's me.
Yes.
And I love using them for my website. I use them in my social media as well and my graphics. And like you say, it's that way for someone to see your face and your passion coming through.
Yeah.
So one thing I was going to ask is, so a lot of us who are starting a podcast already have a business, like myself. And as I was saying before we set recording, I actually created a separate brand for my podcast. And because when I first started out, I was a virtual assistant, and then I became interested in podcasting and decided that was my passion and went down that route. So I actually have two different brand colours, and it's something, as I said, that I've been thinking about changing, because I feel like there's a bit of a difference between the two colours. But if someone is starting their podcast, you'd recommend that they extend their current brand and bring that podcast under that kind of banner? What kind of tips or recommendations about images, and also where to use those images as well, that they could do for their podcast?
When it comes about branding, I'm really strong believer into having same voice and consistency across all those different projects you do, because your brand, you're not going to be like two different peoples all of a sudden, right? It's always you, it's always your personality, and you like what you like. So when it comes to brand colors and your visual projection or fonts or voice, it's really important to you sticking with your personality. So if you like your purples, or you like your turquoises, or you like this, I really believe you should carry this on across all your social media platforms and all your different ventures you're doing, because people need to recognize you. People need to say, okay, that's Rachel. Oh, she's got another thing she's doing, but it's still Rachel. Okay. So, you would do that umbrella thing, and, it can be little twists to it, but I think it has to, you as a brand, you're supposed to be consistent, right? So I wouldn't do two different things unless it's completely not related and you're starting new business and you want to cut off from one thing to another. But if this is part of your brand which complements each other, I would really, really urge you to keep that consistency across the whole platforms, because I think people easily recognize you and they all of a sudden associate that colors and that font with your brand. And that's what we're going for. That's what we're looking for, that instant recognizable thing, like Coca-Cola and stuff like that, Marks and Spencer's, they're not changing the logos depending if they're selling furniture or milk. It doesn't really matter, right? They're all consistent because that's on the umbrella on the brand. So yeah, consistency across all your social media would be very advisable. So
with having some brand photos done, would you recommend if you already have them for your business, for your current brand, maybe getting some done that are more specific to podcasting so that you can use those to in that section of your website, in the graphics or cover art and things like that to promote the podcast.
Obviously, because, you know, I think certain things, you know, the headphones, you know, like tools of your job and stuff like that, you know, it has to be relevant to what you do, okay? And, you know, even like sitting in front of the mic, you know, and recording things and stuff like that, it's really important that you cover all those aspects of your brand. So if it comes to podcasting, you know, that image with relevance, which is your studio, your mic, your headphones, you know, all those different things. It just shows the tools of your job. So I would really strongly recommend that the top up, it should really happen if you expanding your business into that direction.
Yeah, so you can expand your portfolio to add that section in you, to have those for the cover art and for the website. I always recommend people have their pictures on the cover art, because I think that as well, even though sometimes you're like a tiny little tile on your phone, I always think it's nice to have the face behind the podcast, especially if you're an audio only podcast and you're being found on Apple and stuff.
People need to know who's talking to them, you know, like Mel Robbins, you know, any podcasters, you know, was Stephen Bartlett, they all got faces on it. They do, because people want to know who is talking to them. So it's really important. And, you know, I think always when your business moving and evolving and stuff like that, you never know what's going to happen 6 months or 12 months. You never know. So updating your images on a regular basis is very important, because that's what's going to get you more current, and that's what's going to keep your brand on top of those different things you're doing in your business.
Well, visibility is, like you said earlier, that's a key thing in your business, for your podcast, with having your brand photos. We want to get in front of more people. We want to be heard, listened to, seen by more people. The aim of our business. I really love your passion behind what you do. And do you mainly work with female solopreneurs, or do you work with larger businesses as well these days, or is it mainly?
You know what? I started as a women-only photographer. I don't know, it just naturally kind of worked. Maybe because my makeover studios, I photograph women and I feel comfortable. I know how to guide them. I know how to pose them. Because, you know, even if you think, oh, it's all natural, you know, it's all about angles, and I'm your mirror. So I need to guide you during the session, okay? Because you might not have awareness how you look like and stuff like that. So I feel very comfortable with photographing women. But as my career progressed, it just spread out. So I photograph men. I do big companies, like 60 people, you know, companies and stuff like that, bigger ones. So it kind of spreads out. Although I would say that women, it's I would say 70% of people, like one kind of person companies, you know, like your coaches, nutritionists, PTs, you know, those women who've got their own business. And that's the still would say core of my brand. But it really spread out across the whole genre right now. So I can't tell it's only women. I don't photograph men, or I don't do bigger companies. It still kind of happens. If you look at my socials, you're gonna see women mainly. But don't get misled there. You know, but I really think that women, maybe because I photograph more women, maybe this is because women understand the importance of connection and nurturing people, and they understand that being the best kept secret in online presence is not when they're going to get you to your goals. Okay, because sometimes I think, and I'm not generalizing, I think maybe some people have got the still old-fashioned views that just headshot will do, okay, and I'm not going to be throwing myself on a social media. This is not for me. You know, there's still kind of like resentment hanging around there, who I am to showcase, or people going to think that, you know, I'm popping out left, right, center, that I'm vain. You know, lots of people still got those kind of, you know, those preempted things in the heads that it's not good to be visible because it's vain, because I'm not Kardashian and stuff like that. But I really think more and more bigger brands understand that showing the people behind the brand is really important. You know, behind the scenes is important. But I think women especially, they understand the importance of connection on every single level. And your success in your brand, it depends of creating and speaking to the right audience and sending the right message. And visuals, as we know, are crucial to connect with your audience.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. The connection, it isn't about having lots of, like you say, that people thinking it's just about having loads of photos taken of yourself so that you quote unquote look nice. And I think that's a problem that women have always been had against them in that way. But it is about connection, and it's about showing that you are a human and you are a person, and this is my passion, this is what I have to offer. Come and connect with me and get to know me, rather than being some faceless brand.
Yeah. And, if that's something what stops you from having your podcasts because you don't like the sound of your voice, or having your pictures taken because you don't like your left ear, right? Okay, so it's not about you, love, okay? It's about those people you want to connect. And I always say, you serve those people. You've got solutions for those people. You can help those people. And, you're meeting people in the shops every day, and they don't run around screaming from the look of your face or the sound of your voice, right? So that's a good idea to have your pictures done, because the scary monster, okay, you might have in your head. It's just funny, isn't it? How people think that images are completely something different than seeing someone face to face or having a podcast done. It's got people listening to your voice every single day. Why they would all of a sudden judge you because your voice or something, what you've got to say? Why would they do it? So I think we need to get over ourselves very often, and all those little voices we've got in our heads. We're not good enough. I'm not this enough or that enough, right? It's about showcasing who you are and how you can help people. It's not about you. Well, it is about you, but it's really about your ability to help other people. That's what I'm saying. Brand photography, it's not your vanity projects. It's not somewhere you go to, have beautiful pictures of you to put on a wall, okay, to stare at them, or having a little album. But it's to showcase your business so people get to know you. And if they need your services, they can reach you with ease, and they don't have to dig out and find you somewhere, because people's attention span is very short, okay? If they like something, they're going to jump on it and they're going to book you if that message is correct. If you're not going to show up, how are they going to find you? Wow.
Yeah, if you can't show up for your own business for them, how are they going to trust you or get to know you, like you said? Yeah. But yeah, it's I think a lot of people have that worry about having pictures taken, and also the sound of their voice with podcasting. Yeah. I have to say, when I first started, I was a bit like, oh, that sounds a bit great on you. But do you know what? The more you listen to it, the more it sounds normal. I think we spend so much time convincing ourselves that we don't look right or don't sound right or whatever it is that we have. Women especially, I think, that we do need to get over ourselves a little bit. And I feel like I've got over that little hurdle now of my voice. It sounds... I don't hear that disconnect between when I talk and when I listen to a recording, which I used to do. Yeah. I do that less now because obviously I've been podcasting for a few years now, so I'm used to it. Yeah, I think that, getting used to it. We can see how important it is to have those brand photos for our business. Would you be able to give us a couple of tips on how to find the right photographer for us?
Absolutely. I think this is really great that you asked that, because that's crucial. You really need to, first of all, I know it's going to sound really woo-woo, but you need to get that connection, okay, with someone, because photography, especially brand photography, is quite intimate process, okay? Someone's going to stood there pointing at you, okay, with the camera, and it's kind of vulnerable place to be in front of the camera. I completely get it, because I had pictures taken myself, so I exactly know how you feel. And you don't want to feel like the reindeer in their headlights, right? When you know that your face freezes and you know that your face just doesn't look right. So you need to find someone who puts you at ease, who've got the good spiel, you feel good around, and you feel at ease and comfortable. That's the main thing, because someone can be very good technical, someone have the most beautiful portfolio in the world, but if that can't put you at ease and you still look stiff, the technical skills, it's really not that important. So first of all, I would say, jump on a call with that person. See how I always do Zooms. I refuse to take any bookings by sending quotes of the email, because I think that works both ways. If I feel comfortable with you, we know that we're on the same kind of plane, vibes wise, and we can bounce off each other, and we can have good fun. It's important for me as well, because it's important that you enjoy what you do, and you're supposed to enjoy what I do. So I think find out that person, how you getting on at the personal level when you're chatting, if that person is your person. Secondly, really, really go on their website, social media, and see if their photography they do, it's something you actually like. Because there's lots of different styles of photography, With me, I kind of try to mold my style to what you need, because I think everybody's different, and some people like vibrancy, the colors, some people like more muted images. I always make sure that I'm not imposing my personal style on your brand. I'm basically fulfilling your brand. So is that the other way around? But I know that lots of photographers, that's the way I shoot, that's the effect I use, and you're getting that if you want or not, right? So it needs to be someone who understands your brand. And also I would also say, if I really think recommendation is a good way to go about finding someone. Read the reviews, if someone, have something good to say about that person, because, sometimes they might have beautiful pictures, but, there might be 10 people who didn't enjoy working with that person, So I think I would, brand photography is investment. So you should really be scrutinized and check those people if that's your right people, because you can spend all that money and still not be happy about it. And that's not really great way, to go about it. So check them out on the social media, see if you like what they do, and definitely talk to them in person over the Zoom, because you need to get the vibe. If they can make you feel comfortable, that's you're on a winner.
Yeah, it's very important. Like you say, you do feel a bit vulnerable when you're having your photograph taken, especially if you already if you have those feelings that, we were just talking about, of that conscious of the way that you look, or you're not sure how the photo's going to come out. Having somebody that makes you feel at ease and, like you say, is able to bring out your brand and bring out your personality is really, really important. And like you say, it is an investment, and it's an important investment, but something that you want to kind of take your time and figure out the right person to be able to help you.
Only one thing I would say, and it's funny things what I'm going to say, but I would say never shop by the price when it comes to brand photography. And I know they might say, because you charge that and all the people are cheaper, that's you're going to say it. But it's not about that, because I know people who spent less amount of money in the brand photography because someone was cheaper, but they then ended up with spending still quite substantial amount of money on the pictures they're not going to use. Okay, so what's more money down the drain? And it's like with everything, like buying some coat which is going to fall apart on 5 minutes, or you're just wearing it and after first wash, it just looks awful, right? Sometimes you really need to know that not going for the cheaper option, because that's why I don't have prices on my website, because I don't want people to compare my price to someone else, because they should choose me because they kind of gauge with my personality, and they know that I can deliver what they want, because I'm listening what they want, because I'm not minimalizing the issues they've got in their head. If they're going to tell you, I don't like my ear, I don't like my nose, I don't like my lips, I'm going to try to avoid those things. I'm not making emphasis on that, because I know everybody's got their own insecurities. So you need to pick that person who you think they're going to deliver, not who's the cheapest. But I think that applies to everything, isn't it?
Yeah, because it is, I know people have budget constraints, and that's absolutely fine. Yeah. But you're right that if you're going to go solely on price, you might not be happy with the end result, and find the best person to help you with, like you say. Yeah. In this case, it's brand photography, but the same applies, I think, to other businesses and other people out there offering services. You need to. Exactly. It's not just about the price; it's about whether you gel with that person as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing all that information. And I hope everyone has a better understanding of how getting some great brand photography can really help your brand and your podcast. I would love just to end with you letting us know about how you could help us. I noticed on your website that you have a brand clarity call as well as offering the brand photo shoot. I'd just love to know a little bit more about that.
So yeah, it's really good a way when you still maybe starting your business or different hat, of your brand, and don't know how to put those new things within your existing brand, or if you're starting something new, fresh from a start. And I really believe I always explain that as a kind of, I always compare it to having your sat nav and you having your postcode, okay? And clarity always gonna give you that little postcode, the aim, where you want to get, okay? So during the brand clarity, basically what we do, we just gauging of where you want to go, who you want to talk to, figure out what kind of message would work with your audience. And also I would do like a little audit of your social media and your online presence to figure out what you're doing right and what can be tweaked to get the right message. So it's a little bit kind of overhaul of what you're doing already and where we're going to go from here. Or if you start planning the new venture from a scratch, how we can get the right message in front of the right audience. So we scrutinize your ideal client. You know, we're talking who you want to appear, what you want your brand to evoke, what feelings, what emotions, and what's the core message you want to project. And based on that, we can go further. But without knowing who you're talking to and why you're talking to those people, you're going to get confused. And people don't buy from confused people. So it's really good to have that clarity. Go to the business with the clarity. Who you're talking to, why you're talking to those people, and how you want to present and project that message.
Yeah, 100% it is. If you don't know who you're talking to, you're in trouble, basically.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like the first thing you're doing. I mean, I say with people that start a podcast as well, you know, you're thinking about your ideal listener. And here in this case, you know, we're starting podcasts for our business. So, you know, it's for your ideal client. But if you are unsure about who your ideal client is, when you're trying to bring up and develop your podcast, you're going to also run into that kind of problems as well if you don't know. Yeah. And it's something, I mean, I do review my ideal client
every
avatar,
6 months, I would say.
Yeah. It's so important to refresh and refocus, because sometimes you can feel yourself drifting.
Yes.
I felt that with this podcast in when I first started. You know, I had all these things, and when I ran out of the, well, not ran out of the ideas, when I finished what I'd planned, you know, I always make sure when I'm doing a new season, am I delivering what I want to deliver to these people, to make sure that I can bring it back to that important question is, you know, who are these people and what do they want? What help do they need?
Yeah.
That sounds like a really valuable service, Aga.
I really like to think so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important because sometimes it is hard. Sometimes it's nice to have it from another perspective as well.
It's
having
the
somebody
outsider look, right? It's the outsider
absolutely
look. And it's hard to see how our brand, how people perceive our own brand if you're not outside there, because you know you get muddled up in your own head. So it's really good to have that fresh set of eyes on your brand, or you know how you can promote that brand successfully. And just like you said, Rachel, it's you know, we don't have to speak to everybody, okay? And we won't be able to speak to everybody and serve everybody in this world. It's why it's really important to set yourself that little target. And also, I would flip it the other way around. It's not about who you can serve, but who you enjoy serving. I always said to my people, what do you like to do in your business? Because you've got hundreds of different services. What you like to do? Because I think if you promote those services, which makes you feel happier, you know, and more, you know that that's why you may being put on that world, okay? And you might have different services which you enjoy a little bit less, or you're still doing it because someone else is doing. I always says, just promote those things which you enjoy doing, because your passion and your confidence and your enjoy for the business is going to show up differently than doing those things you think you're supposed to be doing or those people need, okay? I really believe that always flip it to yourself. Do what makes your heart sing. Don't try to please everybody. Don't try to talk to everybody. Be a little bit narrow-minded, because when you fulfill your energy, if your energy is there and you're happy about it, you're not going to get this energy depleted. And, you know, we hear all the time about burnout and stuff like that, because people do those things, so many things they maybe don't feel like they should be doing, or they feel they're hard, you know. So I would say do what you're happy with and serve those people who you're happy to serve, not what you think you should be serving or who's got the money, you know.
Yeah, I love that. I think that is a great place to finish on. Serving people by doing what you love, and then your passion and authenticity will shine through.
Yay.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on today. I will put all of Aga's links into the show notes where you can find her website, follow her on Instagram and get to know her a little bit better. I'm sure she'd love to hear from you all.
If
you have any questions or take a look at her awesome photos. Thank you so much, and we will see everybody soon. Thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like to connect with me or get in touch, then head on over to my website. If you liked the episode, then I'd love it if you could leave me a review in your chosen podcast app. Your feedback is much appreciated. See you next time.